If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain it to you. For one, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So sign up for Anchor today. Good morning and welcome back to the Mindful Morning Show on the Stay Positive podcast. This is episode 105 and I am your host, Jasmine Lynn. Let's get started, shall we? So sorry it's been a while, folks. I've been away due to classes I am taking to improve my teaching and coaching capabilities, and also because I hit a sort of depression myself this last week. Yes, even as a life coach that sits on her soapbox and preaches mindfulness and positivity, I too can still become depressed, and during this COVID-19 times, unfortunately, for those of us who struggle with depression, it can hit us a hell of a lot harder than usual. But please, always remember to not let this depression become long-term. Yes, right now, you might be lying in your bed. Admittedly, guys, this is where I was at, not caring if I lived to see the next day or I died. I honestly thought and said that not only to the love of my life, but also to friends. It was then that I decided, and to be honest, it was a subconscious decision, to kick my own ass and get back to being me. Stop making petty excuses for myself and pull myself back onto my boots, either by my collar of my shirt or my belt. Come on, I thought. Cowgirl up. We don't cry. Why are you crying? You've got no legit reason other than you're standing right in front of your own way, not allowing you to be the woman that you are. Girl, get on that saddle and grab those reins, damn it. Well, here I am. A few curse words at myself later, and I'll be honest that gives me motivation, and to a point, it can be viewed, in my opinion, as positive, because even though I honestly call myself a few names, I know I am nowhere near what I might be saying, if that makes sense. As long as you don't believe yourself when you call yourself names, to others it may not be healthy, but if it works for you and gets your gears winding and your inspiration flame burning and back on overdrive, by all means, sister, do it. So now that I am back to being my southern country gal self with a hippie soul, let's get on with the show, shall we? So let's start with mindfulness and its benefits. Yep, I'm going to be on that soapbox once again, this time with an episode discussing mindfulness. There's a main reason why I am discussing mindfulness. In case you haven't noticed, or had the chance to, on the Stay Positive podcast, today I introduced an afternoon segment called Your Daily Mindful Meditation. So I wanted to make sure that mindfulness was understood. I've got a question for you. Have you ever argued with yourself? By this, I mean there's a voice in your head, and in your own head, you are literally having a conversation or argument with it. And I'm not joking here. Honestly, I'm being serious. Why I am serious and even asking this is because if you have done this, then you have experienced there are two of you. Now, don't knock me off as being crazy just yet and run over to another podcast, because What I mean by there being two of you is that there is one that does all of the thinking, feeling, and reacting to any situation presented to you. And then you have the other one. The other one is aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions during these situations. First off, you need to know that the awareness is you, and you are not the voice in your mind. By having this knowledge, it means you're capable of understanding that you can observe the inner voice, what it is doing and thinking, and therefore, having this ability, you have developed self-observation. Self-observation is also known as self-awareness. And you develop this awareness about what is going on consciously by learning to stop living your life on autopilot. This process of developing self-awareness is also called mindfulness. There is a truth to be told, and it is that unless you know what you are thinking, feeling, and doing, you have no way of developing a growth mindset, and therefore not only taking charge of your life, but changing it. Like I have mentioned, you'll be stuck in autopilot, with no control over your thoughts, feelings, or actions. And because you have no control over this, it means you will have no control over your life in general. Here is an interesting fact for you. This interesting fact is about your mind. Your mind, when it receives a threat, your stress response automatically will kick in. And sometimes it does kick into overdrive. Being overwhelmed by emotions will actually shut off your frontal lobe. And your frontal lobe allows you to think critically. Along with this, your body becomes flushed with stress hormones, and your breathing will become shallow. In times of imminent danger, like COVID-19 for example, our stress response can help us by making us fight or flee appropriately. Unfortunately though, with the news, social media, and our racing, overthinking minds being engaged in these environmental factors, this ability of ours can be switched, and it can be switched to the point that the override is chronic, or in another sense, permanent. This means it causes us to be at risk for hypertension, a heart attack, or a stroke. It can impair communication between our HPA axis. This axis manages our stress response and our immune system, which leaves us with digestive issues, which means we develop nutrient absorption issues, pain that can be chronic, and bloating. This in turn impairs our ability to make goal-oriented decisions and instead make habit-forming decisions such as addiction to a substance or alcohol. Mindfulness can help us not to become overwhelmed by this information and instead can take a positive effect by making us mindful about our thoughts, emotions, concerns, and the world around us. So, here are some tips to practice mindfulness daily. Number 1. Be mindful of the time you spend reading or even watching the news or social media. This is because this is a challenging time. And to be honest, this is a challenging one even for the best of us to accomplish. But we must remember, for as of right now and in this current moment, we are self-isolated from the world. During this time, we can become unsure of how we can meaningfully spend our time that we have. Try to spend your time by drawing more focus on being mindful of yourself, and spend more time on your own mindfulness journey. Take breaks frequently and ask yourself if the activity you're doing at the present is going to be fueling your fear or bringing you peace later on. Number 2, consider ways you can support your community's way of connecting. We must bring thanks and gratitude that in today's world there are so many different forms of connecting with one another, whether that be through the internet, a cell phone, or other related technological devices. A healthy activity that's a great idea that we can do with these ways of connecting, can be by checking in with your family and friends. Hold a virtual dinner party. And I'm sure there are so many great uplifting ways you can think of to stay in touch. Check Pinterest for more ideas. I'm sure you'll find some. Something else you can do is scope out online communities that share your interest in staying connected and also know the importance of togetherness. 3. Start a journey of self-inquiry. Time can only tell what you will discover by letting your old fire once again ignite, which once was lit by your passions. At home, we have added quite some time that we did not have prior to this pandemic, but do not fret or become fearful or overthink about situations you cannot control during this extra quiet time. Instead, fill this time with what makes your individual flame of passion and curiosity burn, which might have been a small flame of dreams. Well, let me rephrase this, which might be a small flame of dreams right now, but long ago was seen Okay, let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, guys. So, instead, fill this extra time with what makes your individual flame of passion and curiosity burn, which might have been a small flame of dreams. Long ago, can see the way out of the darkness once more. It has a chance to live again. Feed this fire like there's no tomorrow until it is engulfing the field which lays what you have settled for in your life. Take up at-home learning, which can be done through many online courses. Read books endlessly, fall in love with books, and go out in nature, because I promise she has a thing or two to teach you as well. And to finish off this lovely episode, which I hope has inspired and motivated you while lifting your mind into a state of positivity, I will finally allow this episode to come to an end with 8 mindfulness exercises meant for you. These exercises, I promise you, will ease your stress and anxiety, bringing you peace, calm, and contentment. And you can learn these simple exercises by taking my 8 days of exercise mindfulness class on my website, www.southerngalsbliss.site. Today, I provide you with these 8 mindfulness exercises and a brief description. Number 1, or day 1 in class, is belly breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing, or an easier and funnier name, belly breathing, can benefit us by initiating our body's response to relax. A simple belly breathing practice that can be at any point used if we begin to feel stressed or anxious is a wonderful mindfulness exercise to have on hand. Day 1 of our class we will be learning a belly breathing